friends, it's Sam, and this is my attempt to return to the tube. And by tube I mean YouTube, not the London Underground. In my almost 2 years off, I have completely forgotten the preparation it takes to get back into YouTube. Like makeup and washing hair and setting up the lights, setting up the tripod, setting up the camera, making sure I have enough battery in my camera, and then starting recording and a bar of my battery immediately disappearing. But what better way to return than to give you a life update, tell you where I've been. I guess like there are a couple of reasons why I stopped making videos. One of them being my relationship, and I'm not blaming my partner at all. It's not because I spend too much time with my partner and I don't have time to make videos, because he is in full support of my creative endeavours. It's just the fact that the majority of my audience are either aromantic and or asexual, and I felt, I don't know, kind of like a bit of a fraud and a traitor for getting into a relationship. So I just stopped making videos because I didn't know how to continue. My second reason for stopping making videos is that I kind of let work take over my entire life. I was quite shattered and drained a lot of the time. So yeah, I got into one relationship in like September 2021 sort of time. It was very brief, and a couple of months after that I got into the relationship I'm now in. I've been in this relationship for over a year now and I am very happy. I'm not going to touch too much on that update because I think it needs its own sort of video. You will kind of vaguely meet him in next week's video, and I intend to do an orientation update as well, so I'll explain quite a bit about my relationship in that video. But for now, just know that Sammy's in a relationship and she's very happy in it. I attended 2 concerts since my YouTube hiatus started. The first one was Churches in Birmingham. I have seen Churches before, but honestly they're so excellent and their music sounds so much better live that I was more than happy to go again. I went with my sister and we made a weekend out of it and it was really fun. The second concert I went to, I believe I bought tickets just before my hiatus because I feel like I remember telling you that I was gonna vlog it. Obviously I didn't vlog it because I was on hiatus, but I think I got some footage. I'm not sure if the law will allow me to post the footage, but it was the best concert ever. It was Billie Eilish, and honestly, like the second she came on stage, like I felt myself welling up. It was so good. In July of 2022, I contracted tonsillitis. I've never had tonsillitis in my life before that moment, and it was agony. It hurt so much. I cried every day that I had tonsillitis. It was also during a week off. Like, I'm never ill. Like, I never have sick days from work, and then the second I take a week off, I get tonsillitis. And it was when I was supposed to be going away with my partner. We went glamping in this place called the Pods at Broadway, and it was so sweet. Like the cabin was so nice. We did have a lovely time, don't get me wrong, but the tonsillitis kind of made it it was just the cherry on top. Also, the weather was bad, but we made the most of it. I remember it's a very intimate time for me and my partner because I was so vulnerable at that time, and he was just so comforting and so patient with me, even when I had to go and spit in the sink about twice per minute because the saliva was insane. Now the time frame for this next one is a bit of a guess, but I think around August 2022, Jess moved out. Jess is my sister and we've lived together our whole lives, but she moved into a flat with our friend slash my ex-work colleague, and she now lives there with him and her partner. It got to a point where we were both growing up and we were starting to realize that we needed our own spaces, and she's flourishing in her new flat and she's making it very nice, and I'm very happy for her. In November of 2022, I got into a car crash. It was about midnight. I just finished a shift at work. I was on shift with my partner and another colleague. The plan was my partner goes to McDonald's to get our orders, I take our colleague home, we meet at McDonald's, we eat, and we go to his house to spend the night. I dropped our colleague off, and on the way back a car cut across me and my passenger side went into the back of it, and they kept driving. They just went. I watched them drive up a hill while I sat there in utter shock, and the front of my car was kind of dented and destroyed. So I called my partner and we kind of taxied back to my house because my house was closer. We were still staying at his house, but I kind of parked around the back of my house because I was so ashamed of what my car looked like, even though it wasn't my fault. I just thought my neighbours were gonna look at my car and be like, what's she done? I was very angry that night. I didn't want my McDonald's, and then I woke up the next morning and that was when the tears started. I cried big time. It was a lot. I was so upset. But luckily, my partner is very talented and very kind, and he took me around some scrap yards and we found some parts and he attached them for me, and my car is all better now. The bumper is from the same make but a different year, I think, of car. So my license plate is now in a different place from when I originally bought it. So Dora has had a facelift, but she is running fine and no one was hurt, which is the best possible outcome. I didn't report anything because honestly I just wanted it to be over and I was scared, and I didn't get a number plate. I just remember that the car that cut me up was like a white boxy thing, quite small, and it was just a white square. I can't even remember the make of the car. I was just so stunned. Then came Christmas and I shot myself in the eye with a Prosecco cork. I hadn't been drinking. I don't tend to drink ever. But I offered my mother a drink and she was like, yeah, can I have a Prosecco please? I was like, no problem, mum. I'll get you that. And I opened it and the cork just smacked me in the eye. Straight in the eye. I am amazed that I wasn't blinded. Absolutely amazed. I immediately panicked. I cried very loudly. And my vision just went a bit downhill. It was as if I was looking through a very thin white curtain through that eye. Very blurry, and I was so sure that permanent damage had been done. Any change to lighting really hurt my eye. It refused to adjust. The pupil just stayed one size, while the other one, if exposed to light, just shrunk, and when it was dark it grew, whatever, you know how eyes work. But this one just stayed and it wouldn't shrink and it wouldn't grow, and I was very scared. Even when my vision came back, there was still pain and my eye was refusing to adjust to light. So my partner and I went to A&E, which luckily we breezed through because apparently not many people have eye injuries that they take to A&E. So we were in A&E for about an hour, I think, and the doctor gave me an ointment. He asked me questions. He did a couple of tests. He put dye in my eye, and then I had to go home with an eye patch on, which excuse-moi, which my partner was very amused by. I put my hood up and I looked away from him as he drove us home, and he was trying hard not to laugh, bless him. Like, looking back, it is funny, but I was ashamed and I was embarrassed and I had this big eye patch on. A couple of days later, I had an appointment at Specsavers and told them what happened, told them that I'd been prescribed an ointment, and they did an eye test for me, and apparently I have perfect vision. So I feel like that was a very close call, and I was very lucky. And like, part of me in the back of my head is like, do I have lasting eye damage? But you know, I feel like I've made a full recovery. In March 2023, I visited my friend on the Isle of Man. She no longer lives there as of this month, I think. She moved very recently to North Wales, so we're back in the same country, and I can drive to her whenever I want, which is incredible. I haven't been able to do that for a long time. And the last time I flew to the Isle of Man was like 2020 maybe? So it was a long time and it was well overdue, and I took my partner with me and we had an amazing time. It was so nice. We played Monopoly, we did an escape room, which was fun. We had walks along the seafront. It was just delightful. I also turned 30 in March, which we're gonna gloss over because I'm still coming to grips with it 2 months later. I'm no longer in my 20s. Can people tell me I look young, please? And I guess we've got some honourable mentions that, like, I can't quite put dates to. First of all, I went to Swansea/Mumbles. I don't know if they're the same thing, and my partner and his family would get mad at me if they heard me say that, but Mumbles, Swansea, we went there, my partner and I, and we went on some swan boats. We did some like mini golf. It was an absolute delight. Also, I fixed my toe. I don't know if I've ever mentioned my dodgy toe on my channel, but for as long as I can remember, I've had a dodgy toe. It's my little toe. Just any sort of pressure on it, or if I wore certain shoes, if it was a certain temperature, it would be painful, like stabbing pains. And I never knew what it was. And it's embarrassing how easily fixed it was. As my relationship with my partner kind of developed, obviously he learned about my dodgy toe because he'd accidentally stand on it or nudge it or whatever, as you do if you're in close quarters with someone. And obviously I'd be in a lot of pain, and he was so certain I had an ingrown toenail, but I was so certain that I didn't. But he kept insisting that I go to the doctor, and I was like, right, compromise. I'm gonna Google it, and if I can't find any results, maybe I'll get some bazooka for it. Maybe it's a verruca or what, you know, and it's just never gone away. I Googled it, and I found something that looked / sounded quite right. So I found this. this product in Superdrug. Turns out it was a corn, and it was easily removed with this pen. So the dodgy toe I've had my entire life just got fixed by a little corn remover pen that was like £8 from Superdrug. Roxy turned 3 in April. Don turned 18 and lost one of his claws, bless him. Like, it was hanging off for a good month or so, and we kept bandaging it and praying, but it fell off and he's fine and he's walking like normal again. But he had like such a fat bandage on his foot. It took him a long time to learn to walk comfortably with it, but he's fine, he's happy, and he just walks around the house all the time. And then when we go on actual walks, he sits in a buggy. I stayed in a 5-star hotel with my family. I felt incredibly out of place, but it was really cool. I fed a squirrel in Bournemouth, and I also held a pigeon in my hand while it ate out of my hand, which was such a princess moment. I stayed in a caravan with my partner. I attended a wedding. Our garden wall fell down, and I wrote a book. Obviously my last video before my hiatus was about my book, and then my first video when I returned was about my book. So between those 2 times, I wrote a book, and it's getting published in July. So feel free to pre-order that. I will put it in the description.
I think, are we in like the rough for the moment or something? Because we're really not going fast.
I think so.
Right, just tight. Come on, I'm going for you.
I thought we were getting out of the rough.
Oh. Ah. Yeah, we're getting out of the rough.
And just into the tree.
Just gotta keep going forwards. Hello.
Hello.
Bye-bye. Sammy through the tree. Ah. Sammy. Ah.
We're in the tree.
Click, 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 click. Oh, fuck. Here they come. You see on the right. You fucking come, boy. Are you fucking swinging now?
So yeah, that's where I've been. That's what I've been up to when work hasn't been kicking my ass. And now I'm back, I think, perhaps, maybe, to make more content and show you more life. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick because my battery's dying. I will see you next time. Look forward to a romantic orientation update and many vlogs and some other stuff about me. I'm gonna go. I'm embarrassing myself. Goodbye.